go through the training. And this is a table that shows the results of those assessments. So we measure a number of different constructs that really look at the types of practices that are being discussed in the training and whether or not the person or participant feels that those practices are meaningful, and those practices are helpful, and those practices should be employed in their daily teaching. And then we look at the difference between where they were before and where they were after. So moral of the story, if you go to the very last one, you can see that all of them are significant, with variations, or sorry, all but one are significant, with variations of whether or not the change in that construct was either medium or large. So for instance, when it comes to collaborative learning, which is one of the strategies that are discussed in the fourth module, the teaching and learning strategies, the results of participants believing that strategy is effective and meaningful and important prior to going through the training, and then if they feel that strategy is effective and meaningful and important after the training, there's a significant difference. So we find that people are taking this information and it's translating in some way into their understanding of these different strategies that can be helpful. So what I often, as I work with colleges and creating these partnerships, the one thing that I get a lot is, does it work, right? How do I know if it works? Are they doing things differently? How can we tell? Things like that. So this is one of the mechanisms that we use to look at the does it work question. We can't, unfortunately, or we haven't yet done anything about walking onto campuses and asking people if they're doing things differently, or observing, although we have talked about doing some observations on different campuses. But I think one thing that struck me yesterday during Dr. Ben-Simone's talk, she mentioned inquiry and reflection as a means of change. And so I think that even if we aren't seeing right away behavioral change, which is ultimately what we'd like to see, we like to see behavioral change, we like to see cultural change, we'd like to see sort of value shifts in the way we think about the students that we work with and how we approach the learning experience as a relational experience rather than a transactional experience. Yes, all of those things would be wonderful. But I think we also are in the space where we believe that reflection on those practices and inquiry into those practices is also a good place to start. And we know that by going through the program, that is the first step in practitioners reflecting on the work that they do and the types of practices that they engage in on a daily basis with their students. So the last couple minutes, I'll just show you a couple quotes that we've had from participants who've gone through the program. And most of these quotes were, I think, from really early on in the program. And we've had faculty and staff and administrators from around 60 different colleges go through. Over 700 faculty, staff, and administrators have been trained through the program so far. So this was a quote from one of our participants early. As a seasoned, longtime faculty member in the professional development at De Anza College, I highly recommend this class to all faculty who teach in higher education. The professors of the program have done their scholarly due diligence, and the layout and teaching methodologies make the class content accessible and interesting. And I think one thing that she highlights in here is the sort of the empirical and evidence-based background for the training, which a lot of the participants have appreciated that. Again, here it is again, provides research-based information, strategies, so real-life strategies. That's during the live sessions, there's a lot of those types of questions, like what can I do on Monday, as Dr. Wood mentioned. How do I take this information and employ these strategies and these beliefs and these theories in my classroom with my students tomorrow? And so that's one of the things that students have taken away from this program. And then I think a lot of it is just sort of bringing along those allies and educating, right? Informing people about the state of the situation, right? What are in the first module we talk about the factors that necessitate this kind of training, as Dr. Wood mentioned. And a lot of times those are very eye-opening for faculty, and that level of reflection can often start to move individuals from the ally group over to the acquire group, where those beliefs and those value systems become more intrinsic and more internalized. The message is empowering. We can all become more effective teachers by first taking the time to understand the particular challenges of a group of students, in this case men of color, and then using that awareness to take steps to make things better. And this was a faculty member, academic senate president from LA Pierce College. So we have, as I mentioned, we've trained a lot of faculty and a lot of administrators. If you were at the panel of presidents yesterday, both Dr. Barnes and Dr. Lester have participated, and both of their colleges are partner colleges. We have colleges, a number of college partners in California, but we have some in other states as well, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, I think I saw Emily, and Illinois and some other areas. And I think that's it.
Yeah.
So we kind